Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Good evening. I've hoped you've had an awesome week. I was by myself this week. My hubby went to Perth, so it is very nice to have him back. So I'm really appreciative of that. So I'm hoping that you had an awesome week. So I'm Sue Geelan from Metaneo Counselling and Relationship Education. I'm here to help conflicted, distressed couples save their relationship, right? Not by kind of lengthy, going back in the past, dealing with sort of issues, but building something new. Okay, because if we don't build something new and change the patterns of behavior, then nothing will change. And we'll just keep doing the same thing we've always done because that's all we know. All right. So you have to create something new. All right. And I've got the new, and I give you all the material you need to build your own amazing relationship house. But so I give you all the material, but I can't design it for you and I can't build it for you. That is the both of you working or playing, should I say, together to create something new and amazing. And so, as promised, this session tonight is about, or this live tonight is about communication. Communication is probably one of the biggest and possibly the most misunderstood concept that we have. So yeah, you can probably sort of see my sort of figures up here. We have got Fred here, and I've called this one Wilma. So we've got Fred and Wilma having a conversation. And so so in the comments, if you could, type in where you're listening from, even if you've enjoyed these live programs, because I've done now, probably about 8 or 9. Can't remember now. So let's get stuck into it, shall we? Because communication or lack of communication between couples or between anybody really is probably considered one of the biggest reasons couples give for getting a divorce. All right, is a breakdown in communication. And look, guys, I'm telling you, we all can communicate. We use our words to get our meanings across, all right? We can all communicate. Then how can we get it so wrong? Okay, how can we get it so wrong? So this is what tonight is about the process of communicating, and then about what I call the noise that happens in every aspect of our communication, and how we can, I suppose, be aware of it to be able to guard against it and to understand what is actually happening when we do communicate. So, hey, let's get into it, shall we? Alrighty. So here's Fred here. What he has is, well, let me sort of take off my little thing here. And what he does is he converts meaningful thoughts into communication. And communication is the language, the words we're speaking, because that's all we got is the words. Because we're not telepathy where we can, we have thoughts and we can put those thoughts into someone else's head. Yeah, that's not going to happen. All we've got is our words, which is the message. Okay, so here's the message here. And there's a whole heap of noise around that as well. Then what happens is we can convert. So Wilma over here, then she has to convert that communication, those words into thoughts to make meaning, right? Does that make sense? And when we have got good communication, this meaning and this meaning must match. If we've got poor communication, then this meaning and this meaning is obviously, going at opposite ends, and that's where miscommunication can happen. Okay, so what ends up happening is that Fred here gives a message to Wilma. Wilma has to interpret that, and if she doesn't understand, then she does this, what are called a feedback loop. So here's the feedback. She may ask questions about whether she heard correctly. She may try and gain clarity in whether what her thoughts to make meaning is the same as what Fred's thoughts. Okay? All right? Am I making kind of sense here? And so this feedback loop comes back, where then Fred does either more explanations or anything like this. Okay? That's the process. And if you're doing it one way, then that is a monologue. But then if Wilma has thoughts, then we come back the other way, and that then becomes a dialogue of just going backwards and forwards onto this process. But whatever happens, this meaning and this meaning has to match. And then we've got good communication. Okay? So let's have a look at, all right, the message. Not the message itself, but the delivery of the message. So let me ask you a question, as in, and you can write in the comments where you are, and what are some of the delivery of the message that there is? Has anybody got any comments? No? Well, let me give you some. One is it's face to face. And if we've got face to face, or we're talking face to face, what are some of the noise around that? Well, it could be a disconnect with the body language and or the tone. The body language or the tone. Because if you have a body language and you're coming up to a partner and you're crossing your arms like this and sort of saying, "Oh, I really love you," well, does that sound as if or look like you feel loved? Well, probably not, because we've got the body that is incongruent with our words. And interesting enough, with body language, these two here, body language and tone, is literally the majority of your communication. Body language makes up 55% of your communication. 55%. All right? Which means that your body cannot lie. Our words can. And that's where we sort of get dissonance between things, is when we are lying with our words, but our body language is telling a total different story. Tone, oftentimes it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Well, tone is 38% of your communication. And so it has a huge impact on the tone and the way that you are communicating, of whether someone believes you or not, whether you've got conviction or whether you're, a bit timid because of your tone. And the words is only 7%. And so our words really are nothing in comparison with these two. And because these two are the majority, then this is where we can get major miscommunication, in the fact that our body and our words don't match. Okay. Now, what else? Well, obviously in this medium, okay, we can use video. We can do text, email, letters. What else is there? Signs. What else is there? Ads, I suppose, advertisements can be a message. And phone, actually just a straight phone call. Almost forgot that one. Now, the delivery of the message is important, and this is why communication can be so disruptive, is because the further you get away from face to face, the more noise and distraction that there is. And so one of the things that I usually say to my couples right in the first get-go is that you guys have got, right, and I'm going to use this color down here, text. Do not text. And what I mean by that is do not fight over text. Because in fighting over text, it is usually about emotions. And emotions don't have solutions. So maybe your partner is at work and he gets this plethora, like this essay of, you've done this, and I'm angry, and you've upset me, and all, these kind of accusations that come through. And then he might be, he or she might be so busy that they give one text answer. I'm not even important enough that you can't even write a further longer answers. And this is where you get into trouble, like major trouble, is because, look, you can't solve issues over text. It just becomes accusations, justifying, defending, all that sort of stuff. And so, well, let me ask you a question. If you get text throughout the day where your partner is angry with you, there's accusations to the yin-yang, one, you're at work, you're busy, you get pulled away from the stuff that you need at work to deal with this person who's writing email or, text, and you get then emotionally compromised, so you spend your whole day. Well, let me ask you the question. If you've been fighting over text for 8 hours in the day, would you be wanting or looking forward to going home at night time? No, it's sort of like, no, let me just drown the sorrows of the local pub or something. You wouldn't want to go home. And you try and make excuses just to stay at work for a little longer, because you know what's going to happen when you get home. The accusations and the text, or the texting, is now going to be face to face. All right, guys, don't do this to yourself. All right, Sue says no texting or fighting over text. Your text should be, hey, I knew you were going to have a stressful day. I just want to encourage you. Are you able to bring home some bread and milk? We ran out. Or you're telling them, facts about, your day and how it's going and things like this. But you do not fight over text. or try and resolve issues or try and get your feelings across. All right, it's not going to happen, and you're doing yourself a disfavor. Okay, doing yourself a disfavor. Okay, no texting. Sue said. All right. So that's one of the, and this is the reason, because there is just so much noise going on, so much distractions, so much emotion and so forth. Okay. So the delivery of the message and how it's delivered, all right, is problematic. Then you've got the message itself. And the message itself deals with 4 facets. Okay, 4 facets. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, it is facts. The message itself will be about a fact. Okay, it could be about a statement, data, a fact. Okay, so usually I kind of use this example when is that it's 36 degrees outside. Now, if I took a thermometer and went outside, if the day was 36, it would read 36 degrees. That is a fact. Okay. The second one is that we do something about self-revealing. All right. We do something about self-revealing where this is information about the person who is giving the message. Okay. The person who is actually has the message. And this is what I'm revealing about myself. So if I sort of said it's 36 degrees outside, it's hot, I'm really feeling hot. Now, I've now revealed something about myself, is that I think 36 degrees outside is hot. Now, if I had it's hot up into a fact, well, that would be a wrong fact, because if I was talking to a person from Iceland or Alaska, 36 degrees outside would be a heat wave and they would be dying. Okay, they would be in serious health issues because they're not used to that sort of degrees. But if I was talking to a person from a desert, well, 36 degrees outside could be a balmy day where they may need a jumper, a sweater, because the desert is probably way hotter. And so 36 degrees would be, a balmy day or even a cold day for them. Okay, so you kind of sort of get my meaning, that I'm revealing something back about myself that to me, 36 degrees, it's hot. Okay, now the third thing is about relationship. And a relationship is, what I think about you, or as Fred here, what he thinks about Wilma here. And it's about how we get along. So it could be, it's 36 degrees outside. I'm really, it's hot. I'm feeling hot. And by the sweat that's coming down out of your brow, it looks like you're hot too. And I could do which means that I could do it if I'm talking to my partner, but totally inappropriate if I was sort of talking to a stranger down the street and sort of saying it's 36 degrees and it's hot, and I would have to leave it at, by the sweat that's coming down your brow, it looks like you're hot too, and then I'd have to leave it at that. So it's about, how we get along. And the fourth one is about appeal. And appeal is what I want to make you do. Okay, so this is Fred here influencing Wilma to do something. So I could sort of say, it's 36 degrees outside. It's really hot. I am so hot. And by the sweat of the brow, from the sweat that's coming down from your brow, you're really hot too. Wouldn't an ice cream be nice right now? And we usually leave it at that, in the hope that our Wilma here will take the hint to perhaps go and buy some ice creams to cool us down, right? So these are the facets of the message itself. We're either going to say a fact, we're going to reveal something about ourselves, so self-revealing. It's either about a relationship or it's about an appeal of what I want to make you do. Now, I've got a sort of a funny little story, but, here that it's kind of, it's kind of cool. And we do this, and this is where we get miscommunication happenings, right? So let me sort of say this, all right? A wife says to her husband, the sugar jar is empty. Now, this may be less about the fact that there is no sugar in a jar, or more a prompt for her husband to go and fill the jar. Now, if the husband has a well-trained relationship ear, he may decode that sentence to be, well, you, wife, you are unreliable since you've forgotten to fill the sugar jar. And then he may actually speak something back or respond to sort of say, well, you're not very reliable. You still haven't fixed the light in the kitchen yet. How did we go from sugar to not reliable? And the light fixture. But oftentimes that's what we do. We say a topic, and for some reason it just gets diverged outside what's actually the real reason for the message. And that's how, oftentimes we can get it so wrong. Okay, so that's just the facts. So we've got, again, noise about the delivery of the message. We've got noise around the facets of the message itself. But then we've got issues here. Okay, we've got issues here with Fred. Okay. And he behind him in his head and all this sort of stuff has a plethora of noise going on as he's delivering his message. So let's take some of those, all right? Let's take some of those. So what are some of the noise that is coming from Fred? All right? Well, it could be past experiences. Okay, past experiences. Oh, I've got that spelled wrong, haven't I? Past experience. There we go. So past experience of where you've come from, that all has a potential noise about how you deal with things, because that will also affect the assumptions. Okay, the assumptions that you have regarding the person that you're talking to. And the assumptions can often have what I call a projection. And the projection is what we place on our partner or the person that we're sort of talking to. And the projection is, I think, comma, you think. I think you think. Because the assumption becomes, these two almost come hand in hand. Because if we don't have a strong sense of self, right? We may have low self-esteem. We may have, not belief in ourselves even, okay? But then, I've sort of said to you guys that I come from a year 10 dropout when I first met David. And so oftentimes I would think of myself as being dumb and stupid because I left school at grade 10. And the difference between my vocabulary and David's vocabulary was like huge. There was just such a big gap here that, I could have then did this. I think you think I'm dumb and stupid. And he might say, well, no, I don't think you're that. Well, of course you do. Well, no, I don't think that. I think you're actually quite smart. Yeah, you got to be kidding me. I'm year 10 dropout as compared to you. And then we can then start to get into a fight of, attack, defend, attack, all this sort of stuff, right? And this is for everything, okay? If you feel jealous for your partner, then oftentimes that jealousy, we put that onto our partner as if they're talking to every Tom, Dick, and Harry that's coming around, and you want to sleep with them. It's like, what? No, I don't. What are you talking about? Well, I think you do. And that's that jealousy that sort of comes in, that we then accuse our partners of stuff that we think they do because I think you think this. And this is where we can get such a huge, huge, big issue, is that of the assumptions that we have and the projections of putting our own insecurities as if it's our partner's reality. Okay? I think you think. Okay, what else is there? Well, there could be, and this is not just partners, this could be people at work or something like this. It could be cultural differences. It could be age differences, even gender. Okay, it could be, those sort of gender issues that we just don't understand, about person or so forth. It could be just simply emotions. Okay, emotions, feelings, moods even. We could get to a point of diagnosis or pain can often, have an effect on how we, let our guard down and sort of so forth, that this can really have a big influence on how we communicate and how we receive that communication or receive the message. Okay, what else is there? A big one can be education. It could be language, especially if English isn't your first language. Then the level of education, and as I sort of keep sort of saying, when I met David, I was a year 10 dropout. I was a country girl. I didn't have a rich vocabulary. David read books he read, I think, at least one book or sometimes 3 books every week for years. And his vocabulary was like here, like so much in the distance. So that's when we can then miscommunicate, because I wouldn't understand the words that he's using, or he would have to sort of dumb it down for me or something like this. until I got a little better in my communication and my language and my education and so forth. That then sort of got us up to a more even keel. But this here has a huge difference, because the only way that we can get our thoughts, okay, get our thoughts right is through language. It's through the words that we use. And if we don't have a big vocabulary, then we're going to struggle in getting our thoughts over. And David and I we struggled with this in our first year. And one of the things, that I would say something, I can't remember now what it was, but I would say something and he would get really, really hurt for a couple of days, and he would come back and he'd just say, Sue, did you mean what you said the other day? And I'm going, first, what did I say? Because I can't remember. So he would tell me, and I just said, no. That's not my intention. And then I would have to use, 6 or 10 sentences to try and get my meaning, these thoughts or these meaningful thoughts, into language that he would get my meaning. It was very frustrating, I can assure you. Until I sort of, one day I said, David, this is ridiculous. I said, look, I'm hurting you, and it is never my intention. Okay? So I gave him this statement. And I said, David, I love you. I would never intentionally do or say anything to hurt you. If I do or say something that hurts you, then for pity's sake, ask me. Sue, this is what I'm hearing. Is this what you meant to say? This feedback loop. And we weren't doing it. Okay? And once he sort of got that, because, guys, as I sort of said, that our default in our brain is negative. And we will always assume the worst. Oftentimes when someone speaks to us, or we interpret something, or the meaning that I'm taking from the message is something that appears hurtful, we will always take it that way, more than take it in giving them the benefit of the doubt, as it were. All right, we'll always take it wrong, and we've got to stop doing that. Okay, because you've got, and especially if you're in a partnership, and especially if you're in a work environment, right? You want people to succeed, because if they're succeeding, you're succeeding, and you've then got a job because you're helping the business succeed. They're then helping their clients or their customers and so forth, and sort of everyone starts to win. But if we assume everyone's out to get us, or we assume that they're making some sort of negative statement to us or things like this, we have to ask the question, this is what I'm thinking, or this is what I'm hearing. Is this what you meant to say? Okay, we have to do that. Right, let's have a look at some more. All right, we have our beliefs and our values. Right, we live out of our beliefs and values. And so if we have beliefs that are not serving us, then we have to challenge them. If we have values that are no longer serving, or they are someone else's that we've just adopted from our parents or something like this, then we've got to get our own. Right? So this is vital, because we live out of our beliefs and values. Okay? We have our intentions. What are our intentions when we are eligible intentions? Okay, and also our memories. I also want to include here, because our memories is something else that can really, really affect things, because each of us has a different learning style. Each of us have a different learning style. Some are auditory, some are visual, some are, more hearing, some are more hands-on and kinesthetic. And the thing is with memories, now you could, with your partner and so forth, you could have an experience, and then through your memory, you come back with that experience with telling the story. Your partner could go and say, "That's not how it happened." I mean, it says, "Yeah, that's exactly how it happened." "No, that's not how it happened." And then you start having this major fight over who's right and who's wrong in terms of how they remember a specific situation. Well, guess what, guys? You're both right. Because for one person, their learning style, their audio, kinesthetic, or something like this, is that they remember stuff based on their learning style. Okay? And you two are opposite. And so why would you think that someone's interpretation of what has happened is the right one? Is because you're both different. And when you remember something, it's to say, well, how do you remember it? And then you then say, well, here's how I remember it. And you're both right, because you're remembering different aspects of the same situation. And therefore we can, sometimes we can fight for days, is because of, things that we remember or think we remember, but it's based on our learning style. And we sort of say, well, you're wrong, you're right, or you're wrong and I'm right, and, all this sort of stuff. And then tit for tat, angry, attack, defend, down the sinkhole again. Because we want to be proven right. And sometimes you've got to agree to disagree, and that is okay, especially if you're trying to recall a memory, because it could be you're just looking at the same, you're looking at the same thing through different lenses. Okay? And that's okay. We don't need to fight over it. All right, what else is there? This is a good one. Okay, I call this understand. Now I just talked about opposite, that you two are opposite. Well, I'm going to put that under style. Okay, and style, I'm now going to go into more comprehensive ways in which the both of you or people in general can be opposites. Now, we're opposites, but it's not you're either one or the other. It's a scale, I think, and that we're mainly the opposites, but we can slide along the scale at any point in time. So again, you're talking about, one of you is an introvert versus an extrovert. Okay, one of you is an introvert, one of you is an extrovert. One of you is more positive versus more negative. Okay. One of you is visionary or theory, a vision person, versus a practical person. So someone has, big visions, and the other person is more hands-on practical. Okay. How am I going? All right. The next one is someone is book smart versus street smart. Okay, book smart versus street smart. One of you is emotional versus logical. Okay, what else? Temperature-wise, I've talked about this one. One of you is hot versus cold. One of you is cold. Yeah, one of you is to the point versus meander. Now, I want to sort of talk about this one, all right, for a bit. This one can wreak havoc in communication, all right? Because one of you is, I want short, sharp, give me the point. And the other person, or one of you, is meander. You need to know the story and the backstory in order to get to my point. And so oftentimes we can, as a point person, we can cut in to the community, into the dialogue, as it were, to try and get the point quickly, fast, give it to me. And the other person says, no, you got to understand the story behind it. Okay. And then oftentimes, we can just, I suppose, make a judgment call instead of saying, oh, this is going to be a long story. And we can shut off listening to our partner when they're doing their meandering story, that we mishear stuff. And that's when communication can really, really be missed, right? Knowing and understanding that one of you is to the point and one of you is meandering, then you've both got to come up with a solution about what are we going to do with this. For the person who's a meander, you might have to cut it shorter a little bit. For the person who is, to the point, you might have to listen just a little bit longer to be able to, help, help get, to really understand the sort of the communication and to understand the point that your partner is making. All right. Does that make sense? Okay. So that is quite a tricky one. Okay. One of you is patient, right, versus impatient. One of you is what I call a mono versus excited or passionate. Okay. One of you is excited or passionate. Now, this is also one that can lead, people, especially couples, to really misinterpret sort of stuff. Now, usually one is mono. What I'm talking about is that their inflection and things like this is at a fairly even keel. Okay. The other person is very excited about perhaps their topic. And as you can probably tell, what do you think I am? Yes, I'm the excited one. David is more mono. And so as an excited one, when I get stuck onto a topic that I'm passionate about, I will tend to use my hands. I will tend to get faster in my communication and also louder. So it's faster and louder. And my girls actually sort of accused me and sort of said, Mum, if we tied your hands behind your back, you wouldn't be able to speak at all. And I sort of said, you're probably right about that. But this is where you can, really sort of seriously have some major issues, because for a mono person, to them, it sounds like the excited person is yelling at them. All right, because they're fairly mono and even keeled. So as they're talking, they're getting louder and faster and stronger than for the mono person, right? It would be like, well, stop screaming at me. You're just screaming at me. And they may shut down in terms of listening to what the person has to say, their passion about what they're sort of saying and so forth. So again, we have to sort of come up with a plan of action about how can we, sort of communicate without, the person who's excited, being told to not be excited, stop, shush, shh, be quiet type of thing. Because, the minute that you get an excited person and you shut them down, then it's almost like their whole demeanor it's almost like their legs are just cut out from underneath of them, and they just, and you lose potentially what could be some, amazing sort of information simply because of, the delivery or the noise, around mono versus excited. Okay. Someone is right. So this is, guys, this is just, sort of some. I'm running out of space here, but this is sort of just some of the, the oppositeness and why, why we can get it so wrong. Okay, is because this here, guys, this here is in Fred. But guess what? All this stuff here is also in Wilma. And this is why we have difficulty getting this meaning here and this meaning matching, especially since we've got all this noise. And this is where we have to come to a point, right? And, and I want to, I'm going to, and I want to, to realize that we're not out to hurt one another. I mean, there's probably some people who are, but that's, again, the 80-20 rule. 80% of the people that you talk with, only wants to get their message across and for you to hear what they're saying. And maybe only 20% of the ones that you sort of speak with would be out to hurt you. But again, we can sort of, say, what is the message? And is their message, is it true? Is it valid? All right? If it's not true and it's not valid, then just ditch it. Just ditch the whole thing, right? If it is true and it is valid and it means that I need to change, well, guess what? I can change that, and I can take ownership of that and change if I need to. Other than that, it doesn't matter what their intentions are. You get to choose how you take that. Okay? And which means that, especially in a relationship, okay, we have to come from a place of love. Okay? You guys, when you first got together, okay, you love one another. Your partner is not out to get you. All right? That is the last thing on their mind. But because of all this noise here, okay, this is why we can misinterpret the meaning, and we take it on board as if it is. Okay, so we have to get to the point of sort of saying, look, we've got to come from a place of love, right? And that's the thing I said before. I love you. I would never intentionally do or say anything to hurt you. If I do say anything or do anything that hurts you, then for pity's sake, ask me. Because 9.999 times out of 10, we've misinterpreted what the message is, what the meaning is, what the intention is. And we've got to get that clarity. We've got to get that feedback, ask questions. Okay, we've got to come from a place of love. And then the final thing, underneath love, okay? Underneath love is that we've got to know our why. Okay, why are you in a relationship? If you're not in a relationship, you don't need to know your why, right? But your why in a relationship means that you want to get to your happy ever after. You want to grow old together. You want to have a life of laughter, fun, mutual respect, trust, intimacy, communication. You want someone to share your life with you, someone who's got your back. And the only way that we can have that relationship is by communicating. If we don't communicate, communication is probably one of the biggest things. And I talked about connection, a couple of weeks ago. We've got to connect, and communication is one of the biggest ways that we can connect. And if it is the one, the biggest reason that couples give for getting a divorce, then we've got to know how to communicate well. And that is by understanding this and this. Know that you love one another, that you wouldn't hurt one another, and know your why. Where are you getting to? What's your happy ever after? Because that's where we're going. Okay? And if I do anything or say anything, that becomes the foundation of the choices and the decisions that we make with one another. Is what I'm going to do or say going to get me to my why? If it's not, don't do it. Look, it's not worth the effort. But if it is, do more of it, because it's usually fun. Because if we're not spending fun in our relationship, guys, then we're doing something wrong. And you need to come and see me and build a new one. Okay? Because the only person who wins in a divorce is the legal system. They are the only winners. And your hard-earned dollars, your kids, each other, things that you've been working for and things like this, to make sure it ends up not in their pockets, then do yourselves a favor. Okay? Do yourselves a favor. Come and I invite you to look, email me up here. And then if you really want to book an appointment and you want to have a look at the things, I've got a landing page here, www.fixyourrelationships.solutions. It's my landing page that you can have a look through. You can have a look through testimonials. You can see the video of how it is that I help you and so forth. Guys, you owe it to yourself. You owe it to each other. You owe it to your family. Okay? You owe it to your work colleagues, because we're in a relationship with them. And if we come from a place of that, of our why, that we want to sort of service our customers, so we're still in a job, that, our colleagues hopefully are not out to get us, then we've got to find solutions about how we can work together and how we can, really hear one another, listen to each other, and really make a difference in the world. So guys, I've hoped that you've enjoyed today. I've hoped that that you will take the opportunity to reach out to me, and because you can take all what I've done here and you can do it yourself. All what we've done in the last 8 weeks, you can do that and do it yourself, and that's fine. But make a difference in your life, and that's fine. But if you need help, if you need some accountability to be able to help you do that, then guys, please, I encourage you to reach out. All right? Reach out at this. Take a screenshot, take a photo, and get into my landing page and really have a look around. And yeah, and let's make a difference, not just in your world, but in society as a whole, and in your family for generations. So, guys, that's it for me. I hope that you've enjoyed tonight, and I look forward to talking with you. I look forward to working with you, and just reach out. Okay. So I'm going to say bye for now. You take care. Have an awesome week, and I'll catch you later. Bye now.